All right, New York Giants fans, you know what time it is. It's time for, I don't know, the draft breakdown. What did Joe Shane do Thursday night? What did the Giants do Thursday night? We think we all know. We just came from the draft party. Well, actually, we didn't come. It's the early morning after the draft party. My voice is hoarse. It was a great time. I want to thank everyone that we met today again. It was great to see everyone. It was great to be back into the stadium. The only thing that could ruin the night was Joe Shane. And luckily for us, he did exactly that. We all knew it was going to be Abdul at 3, even with the shocking trade by Jacksonville. We had that feeling that we were still going to go after and get that undersized defensive end who has a foot injury, who has a shoulder injury, who doesn't have a plethora of pass rushing moves, who an ESPN analyst said yesterday when asked, can Abdul Carter play the run? His response was, not really well, but that's not what he's going to be there for. So now we have three Ghost Brothers. We have three defensive ends that are both speed rushers, undersized, have no idea how to hold their assignments, have no idea how, or really a good understanding of how to prevent the running back from getting into the second level, going off tackle. Burns and Thibodeau, we call the Ghost Brothers for a reason, because if you go through their career, we've watched them disappear in multitudes of games, just like last year. I remember sitting there with James in the suite in that Minnesota day, playing Minnesota, I should rephrase that, with that bright, sunshiny day, opening day. And we kept saying, you know what if the Ghost Brothers disappeared this game? And they did. So now you're bringing in a kid that, honestly, smarter tackles are just going to push him to the outside with his speed rush, take that wide route, push him towards the sideline like they did with Kayvon Thibodeau. And if the kid's not smart enough to cut it back inside, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. Not saying he's not going to be a good player, but he's not an off-the-ball linebacker. Taking a look at his first 2 years at Penn State, they were not going to say pedestrian, but they were average at best. And Penn State only moved him to the defensive tackle out of necessity last year. Last year, they lost their first-round pick. They lost one player to the first round, that is Penn State, and another player, I believe, to the third round in the draft. So they did it out of necessity. And while he had a good season, if you literally watch the way he plays, it's the same move. We showed it. We've talked about it. We call it the dip. You use a speed rush. You don't break stride. You don't really use a swim move. You take your shoulder. You kind of just dip it in an offensive lineman and go around. That's going to work against guys that are slower, that are not going to be in this league. But when you're going to go up to the likes of Lane Johnson and other people in our own, Larry Tunstall, other people in our own division, it's going to get interesting. It's going to get interesting quick. He's not going to be a guy that's going to drop into coverage. He is not going to be a guy that is going to hold up well against the tight end. We knew it was coming. We literally knew it was coming. And I love it because people are like, well, you got to take the best player available at 3. No, the problem with taking the best player available at 3 was we have 2 other players that are supposed to be the best players on our team at that same position. You don't take a guy at 3 to create another NASCAR package and give him, 30, 40% of the snaps? No, you take a guy at 3 that's going to be on the field 70, 80, 90% of the times and be an immediate impact player throughout the game, not just on third down. This team is not that good and not built that way. Oh, the Jaxson Dart trade. Joe Shane hasn't taken a quarterback in 3 years, and when he does, he lands on Dart. The kid is a product of Lane Kiffin. The kid is a product of the system at Ole Miss. He's Daniel Jones 2.0. What did they do? Watch the Ole Miss games, because everyone likes to watch plays. We all like to watch highlights. We don't want to actually watch the entire game. We don't need to watch the entire game and see, I should say, you rephrase it. You watch the entire game and you see, what does Lane Kiffin do? Cuts the field in half, gives him 2 options, and the third option is to run. Who does that sound like? Does that sound like 2019 Pat Shurmur and Daniel Jones? And then you're going to take – I love it. You did not take potentially an immediate impact player at 3 that could play extensively, and then you trade back up. You give up the second-round pick. You give up the second, third-round pick, and then you give up another third-round pick in 2026 to get Jaxson Dart. If you look at the way the draft fell or was falling, you could have either had Dart, Milroe, or Shedeur Sanders into third round. You didn't have to move. It's like the Deonte Banks trade. They traded up one spot, and the team they leapfrogged, they didn't even take a corner. It was another Joe Shane panic move. He is being the smartest guy in the room. And once again, it just doesn't make fit. Colin Cowherd said it best, and we posted the video on Twitter. You need to be worried about quarterbacks that the hype grew after they left college. Not what during their college career, not throughout the 3-4 years they were there, but after their college career ended. Even great examples were E.J. Manuel, Zach Wilson. I mean, he had a whole lineage of examples. But no, the Giants being the smartest people in the room, what do? We land on the dart. And of course, you have Russell Wilson and James Winston, so the kid's not going to play for a year. So your first 2 picks in this draft are picks that should have been made 3 years ago because they were building block picks. But now we're making them in year 4 of their regime. This franchise they just go in a direction, and it's bad teams do dumb things repeatedly. And the Giants are the heir apparent of that. They are a team that the highway of the NFL is littered with the Giant wreckage. We've said it before. Go to Joe Shane's first draft. You literally are going to tell me that he almost missed on that entire draft. But then I love this is my favorite part, though, the whole thing about taking up Abdul Carter. I'm sorry I'm going all off topic, and I've also lost my voice. You traded for Brian Burns, gave him $120 million. You are going to pick up the $16.1 million option for Kayvon Thibodeau next year. The Giants already said they're doing it. Now you've taken a guy 3rd overall. So between Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence, Abdul Carter, and Brian Burns, you could have $60 million invested in the defensive line in 2026. Football is for the long haul. Football is not for the season. Football is not just to save your job. Football is for you to be competitive 7, 8, 9 years, which the Giants haven't been. You take a look at the Philadelphia model. Take a look at the Kansas City model. We don't do these things. We make bad mistakes. We take players that we really don't need, and we sit there. Great example last night, and I was actually proud to be a Giant fan last night at one point in time when the Abdul Carter pick was made. There was not much of a reaction. It was a very mute reaction. And you literally wouldn't even have known we had drafted at one point. I showed the video on the live stream, and it was almost like, hey, we took Abdul Carter. You could be excited about these picks. You could think they're the greatest picks in the world. But I'm going to tell you this right now. Joe Shane, Brian Daboll will be fired by Thanksgiving of next year. And then you are going to have a new GM and a new general manager come in here, and you're going to saddle them once again with a quarterback. And to get the job, they're going to have to say, yes, I can win with Jaxson Dart. It's like I said, the highway of the NFL is littered with the wreckage of Giant draft picks. And Joe Shane continues his idiocy in making moves that I've said it before. I don't think Abdul Carter is not going to be a good player, but here's the thing: he's not a fit for the Giants. You saw what Cleveland got from Jacksonville. You should have moved out of 3 because of the fact that the players that were in front of you at 3, a lot of them didn't fit. The one player you took does not fit in what you do. That's a problem. You need a linebacker. Yes, 100%, but he is not a linebacker. Michael Parsons had 80-plus tackles his first season, freshman year at Penn State, and only started 1 game. Abdul Carter in 2 seasons had maybe 90 tackles as an off-the-ball linebacker. Parsons comes in and has over 100 tackles the next season and was a destructive force throughout the year. Abdul Carter, all he's doing is getting to the quarterback. It's flash. It's all flash and all dash. But the question is going to be, can you convert that into an every down player? I don't think you can. I think he's going to be a specialty rush guy because he's too slight to hold up consistently on the line against the run. He's not going to drop back into coverage. And what he's going to do, he's going to have the giddy up to get after the quarterback. And like I said, Jaxson Dart, you have to be fearful of a quarterback that did not have any of the hype until after he left college. That should scare anyone. And it just doesn't. Like I said, the serendipitous drop of Shador Sanders is questionable at best. I think it has to do more with what is perceived attitude over talent, which I think it's, I don't know. I'm not. That's a video for another day. But for you to reach in the first round for Jaxson Dart, where when you're sitting with the third overall pick in the third round, in the second round, you literally could have gotten Dart, Miller, or Sanders. You panicked. You gave up assets again, and you jumped up into getting the guy that you were going to have to pay first round money. Yes, I understand if you take him in the second round, you do not get that fifth-year option, but you follow the Philadelphia Jalen Hurts model. You get a second-round quarterback that you're not paying first-round money. You win in your first 4 years. You build the contract the correct way. Then you go to 3 Super Bowls in 7 years and you win 2 of them. That's just not the Giant way. Oh, guys, we have to wait and see what we're going to do. It's going to be an interesting rest of the draft. There's no reason to stream tomorrow for the draft or today for the draft. So we'll see what we're going to do. There'll be a better breakdown and a better video over this weekend. I think I might do probably going to do a live stream on Saturday instead of Sunday. So maybe we'll do the last half of the draft. But as always, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to ring that bell, because you know why. It's awesome. And we're out of here.